Welcome to Module 1, Part 1. In this module, you are going to explore what makes you unique as a functional health practitioner and how to apply those aspects in a non-traditional approach to identifying your niche and your ideal client. Now, narrowing down a niche can feel overwhelming. Sometimes it feels too limiting, or in some cases, it can actually be too broad in some respects. So honing in on a specific condition such as thyroid or autoimmunity doesn't necessarily mean you have found your niche. These represent a larger umbrella of people with a lot of possible subcategories of niches that could potentially fall underneath them. And narrowing in on one specific condition does not necessarily set you apart from the rest of the health professionals that are out there, and it certainly isn't the selling point for your ideal clients. People buy because of the emotions and feelings. Think about the last time you made a big purchase. Why did you do it? You likely paid good money for something that was going to make you, quote unquote, feel good in some kind of way, whether that was more confident, happy, joyful, warm, and cozy, or maybe strong in some way. So let's connect with the feelings, emotions, and characteristics of your niche and your ideal clients by exploring your story first for clues. This is your starting point. So your story is what makes you unique as a functional health practitioner. Among the hundreds, if not thousands of health practitioners out there, this is what makes you stand out in the crowd. It's the ultimate deciding factor on why a client will choose you over somebody else that does something similar. Your story is how you will relate to your potential clients. It's how you will build rapport and trust with them so that they will invest in you. Think about it. When you go to buy something, especially when making maybe a big purchase of some kind, what do you typically do before you make that investment? If you are like most people, you probably ask around to see if others have tried the product or the service. You might check out the reviews and analyze whether or not the company or the brand gets you. You may not always be doing this consciously, but it's definitely happening subconsciously, internally, under the hood while you're making this decision. Another example is when someone says that they've been using, let's say, a great app or a great product or service to help them with X, Y, and Z. If you are in need of those things too, you'll likely ask them to send you the information on whatever that thing is to help you solve your problems as well, right? So the story that you find while doing research or that others have shared with you is ultimately what gets you to buy and invest in whatever that thing is. And why might this be, you're asking? Well, that's because you are the ideal client who can relate to the story that's being shared. It touches you on some type of personal or emotional level, and you're like, yeah, I can actually relate to that, and that thing relates to me. So the first step in finding your niche and finding your ideal clients is to re-familiarize yourself with your own story. Oftentimes, as we elevate our education and we forget where we have come from. And as experts, we become light years ahead of where our clients currently are in their health journey and in some of their struggles. We have to get back into the shoes of our former selves to understand where our ideal clients are currently residing, and therefore what our niche is actually going to look like eventually. We have to reconnect with the struggles and the obstacles that we faced to relate to where our clients are and with what made us successful to know what kinds of solutions we can best teach them also. Now, your action item is to write out your story from start to current time, okay? So you're gonna do this by starting with where you were even before you realized that you had maybe a health problem going on or wanted to work in this space. So think about what were the things that you were experiencing back then. What were you thinking during that time in your life? And what were you feeling also along with that? Think about how you were behaving and moving through life then, and who were you essentially being? What were some of the characteristics or behaviors that you had? Now continue to write out the journey that you took from there. What was like your rock bottom or the moment that you realized something needed to change in your health? What obstacles or struggles did you then encounter along the way? And what were the kind of key turning points or things that you did or actions that you took that propelled you on a path to better health to where you are today? The only rule when writing out your story is to avoid using too much technical industry jargon that you now know as a result of your acquired knowledge and expertise. I want you to focus on using simple and common words to describe your experience as much as possible. This will come in handy for your marketing later on through the program that we'll use. Now, here are some examples from my health story that might help you get yours started too. I wasn't always this health conscious. I grew up playing sports, but I was the kid who struggled to basically run the mile during those stupid PE tests. And I dreaded spring training sessions for high school basketball. I used to eat the most unhealthy foods in high school and college and throughout my 20s as well. Just to name a few of my old favorites, they included frozen taquitos and burritos, which were my favorite afternoon snack after school, frozen yogurt with, of course, a lot of piled candy on top of that, and Pazookies from BJ that my boyfriend used to bring me. As a teenager, my period was instantly off and I was given birth control to balance it out, which I quickly used as a tool to control when I did or didn't have a period. I frequently skipped the placebo pill for my own benefit, but I often wondered if I was doing damage to my body when I did this. During and after college, I felt sluggish, I struggled to maintain my ideal weight, and I felt bloated and gross all of the time. I loathed my thighs, I hated wearing short dresses, and when skinny jeans came on the scene, I thought that there was no way in hell that I would ever fit into a pair of them. I was dealing with chronic allergies, suffering from seasonal ear infections that would take me out for days at a time, and frustrated that every year it seemed to be getting worse and worse. I struggled with low energy, barely making it until it got dark to go to bed and drinking multiple cups of coffee or Americanos in the afternoon. I desperately bounced from diets and workout routines to chiropractors and acupuncturists, trying to find the magical combination of things that would relieve my pain, fatigue, and weight worries. I excelled in every job that I had, quickly moving up the career ladder into a managerial type of position, and I worked long hours and burned the candle basically at both ends between work and all of my social activities that I did. Then came my diagnosis of skin cancer at the young age of 26 and my mom's near-death experience from liver cirrhosis that made taking care of my health no joke to me anymore. I had an undeniable urge to get to the bottom of my own health issues and use my knowledge to help others. From the outside, I looked like your typical healthy person, eating right, working out. I was muscular and even a personal trainer. But on paper, I looked good and normal. I had normal cholesterol, heart rate, blood pressure levels, etc. But skin cancer was a red light that something was wrong, plus my allergies were getting worse. And I was having more instances of aches, pains, and migraines along the way. Not long after my diagnosis, I began my health coaching journey by becoming a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, FDN, as you all know. I was inspired to enroll in this program to help all my personal training clients who were also struggling with weight issues, even though that they were doing all of the right things by eating right and exercising and all the things that I had learned in school. But I knew that there had to be something more that was stopping them from getting results. And I also enrolled in this course to help myself improve my health. Through the program, I learned a whole new way of looking at disease and health from a more functional and causal level. I uncovered that I had all kinds of cellular damage that was going on, hormone imbalances, and bacterial overgrowth in the gut within myself and with the clients that I started working with. It was like finding all the missing pieces to the puzzle I had been looking for. So I set out on my true health journey. I figured out what foods were right for my body. I continued to test for healing opportunities, and I learned how to listen to my body to give it what it needed most when it needed it the most. That's my story. Now it's time to write yours. So go deep and take up as much paper and time as you need. Either type it or physically write it out, whatever suits you best. If you feel stuck, have questions, or simply want to share, hop on over to the Facebook group and post your comments, questions, and shares there.